take advantage. That's simply what it is. They take advantage of those organizations, churches, etc., and people don't understand you need to stand. As Dr. King and others have said, you stand for something or you fall for anything, and that's what's happening here. But this is WLKF, 1430 AM on your radio dial. Doris Moore-Bailey, host of Update. I have on the line with me today Jim Scott from Peachtree City, Georgia. I have David Love. I have Alexis Dobbins and Mrs. Snipes. Are you still there, Keith?
I'm still here.
I mean, Keith, okay. And, of course, Johnny Walker out of Memphis, Tennessee. And I know that there's someone on the line, someone who's trying to say something. Who is this calling now?
Gordon Watts. You can Google me and see some of my research in regards to the student rights advocacy. But Johnny said that she didn't hear the top part of the call, about my call, so I just wanted to recap that I weighed in about not only the economic exploitation of predatory lending. Students are not even told that they lack bankruptcy protections. It's a monopoly. But also when they spend too much up in the U.S. government, it devalues the dollar, and all the poor people get oppressed because the dollar is worth less. Both Jesus Christ and Dr. Martin Luther King said basically through their apostles or prophets, there's neither Greek nor Jew, there's neither male nor female, bond nor free, neither black nor white, Dr. King would add, and we should all stick together. The rich people that are oppressing us are not all bad. Sometimes their intention is right, but they are weak morally, and they cave in to the special interests, and we should love our enemies. So I wanted to recap because the fact I felt bad that Johnny came in and missed my comment.
Okay.
And so basically there was oppression of the college student because of the predatory lending, and then there was oppression of all poor people because the government spends too much to devalue the dollar. And I'm part Native American. I was kicked off of something because of a feather that I was wearing, but I'm really light-skinned. I'm mostly Irish and Scottish and British. So the main type of rape prejudice that I get is based on the fact that I'm poor, and that's only some of the time because Jesus protects his own and whatnot. But that's basically, I don't want to hog the time, and I want to give other people some time to weigh in on the things that I've said. But I just wanted to bring Johnny up to speed.
Okay, and I appreciate that, and thank you for calling in today, and I appreciate your comments, and we'll listen to you, and call in some other time. And now, if anyone wishes to respond or comment on anything as it relates to Dr. King, the movement, and then finally, where are we today, how can we move forward, and then in the last 2 minutes we'll have a moment in history by Jim Scott. So with that said, is there anyone else who has anything to say as it relates to Dr. King? Has the dream, answer this for me, has the dream been realized or has it been deferred? As you know, the check written insufficient. So respond to that. Has it been realized, or is it deferred? And
this is Alexis.
Go ahead, please.
This is Alexis, and I mean, at least for me, I'm pretty clear that we are nowhere near the dream that Dr. King spoke of. One of the things that I wanted to mention when you posed the question about from a historical perspective, and I believe it's Johnny that answered, but I think we have to be careful about posing that question in a passive way. You know, the dream didn't die. We didn't lose our history. It's not something that, or we did, it's not something that happened to us. It is something that we did. I taught history in a high school for 3 years in a true what we would call middle class environment. And it's just amazing to hear African American students in high school, some not sure whether Martin Luther King is dead or alive, some not sure whether their grandparents were slaves, some thinking that just any number of things that were really ridiculous on the surface. But I had to understand that in the family unit, there was no sense of racial pride. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that once, at some level, we felt that racism had been put to the side, and we thought that we were able to, get jobs. Discrimination was not as overt as it might have been, that we felt that we had, quote-unquote, won something. We felt that we had achieved the dream. But I don't think that was the dream of Martin Luther King at all. I think his dream really was about social, economic, and racial parity for everybody, and for more of a focus on humanity and on uplifting others and on just really individually doing your best and being of service based on where you were in life. And that is not what at all we are doing. It's almost as if we have won the battle, but we're clearly losing the war. As you said, the focus is on silver. It is not on civil rights. And so as we've turn the conversation to where are we going forward, we really have to look at the fact that it is not about the houses that we live in or even the political offices that we've obtained, or even though that is part of it, but it is really about on an individual basis what we need to do in pursuit of that true original dream. And I don't think we do that. I don't think we do that at all. I think we're farther away from that than we might have been when Dr. King was alive.
Okay. Very well spoken, very well stated. And anyone else want to comment very quickly?
I'm glad this is Keith, I'm glad there is a history teacher on this call because I think that's where it begins and ends. I got teary-eyed when you said that there are some of our young people who don't know if Dr. King is alive or if their grandparents were slaves. Those are crucial flaws in our cultural existence. Our history, I believe, is the glue that binds us. And if we allow it to continue to be cast aside, then I think that matters will only get worse. In terms of the dream, I think that so many of us believe that the dream was purely thought on economic terms. But I think that the dream, when Dr. King was involved in the Poor People's Campaign, it wasn't about getting black people into some ivory tower to become CEOs. That's good because it gives you some influence, but it was about giving people work to do for which they would be paid a fair wage, because that is what humans are prone to doing. Humans are prone to labor because it's what we have by turning it into nothing but bling. And that bling has caused us to lose all sense of our human dignity. And I think the only way that we can restore that is to do a all-out, full-court press restoration of our history. Now, how we do that, I don't know. I am committed to doing it as much as I possibly can in the space that I find myself in, but I think that we all have to commit to that, not just the folks on this call, but anyone who's listening. We have to commit to that because our young people are suffering as a result of not knowing it.
And you're correct, and I think, as it was stated, it comes back to home. We all have to work with our nucleus and make sure they're aware that, and when they go into the schools, they are aware who Dr. King is and other people who they are. So we have to have those books, because if we don't have significant impact with the companies that write the books, and then the committee that approved the books to go into the schools, that's where the power is too, then we certainly will be lost. But let me say this in closing. Dr. King was a man of action, and he died in action. I think we forget. We talk about the dream, and he had more than one dream, and so we almost must remember that always. And so in closing, I'd now like to thank each of you today